What's up, beautiful jellyfish? My name is Tracy, also known as MTGGoddess here on YouTube. I'm collaborating once again with Simon Lore to talk about something in EDH, which I think is a pretty important topic that I feel like I think about a lot of these things, and I was like, I should film a video about that because I do think that it's important. And I want to talk about broken/oppressive cards in EDH. Now, what I define that as is a cards that you play that may not necessarily help you, but that really do stop your opponents from doing a lot of things that they want to do. So it doesn't necessarily quite benefit you, it stops a lot of your opponents. And I'm not really talking about like instants, I'm not really talking about sources, I'm talking about like, you know, creatures, artifacts, enchantments, things that stay on the board and are going to stay there until they're removed that, you know, don't help you that much, but stop your opponents from doing things. And I want to, like, an example I think that I would say is a card like Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace, 2 mana, white enchantment that whenever, you know, anything goes into the graveyard, it actually gets exiled instead. That card probably really doesn't help you that much. You play it, and it really does, you know, stop those graveyard strategies from doing anything. Now, another card, a really good example is Torpor Orb. This is, to me, one of my most disliked cards that playing against in EDH, and the reason why I don't like playing against Torpor Orb is because certain things, like if someone plays Rest in Peace, I can just Rec Sage it, you know what I mean? Like, that's like a really common thing, but Torpor Orb is like, oh, your Rec Sage is useless. It's just a vanilla 2/1. It doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield. So you have to have an instant, a sorcery, some other means to get rid of that card. To me, it's just a huge annoyance. It's not something that I want to play against. It's just, it's a frustrating card. Like, Paul has it in, card, and like, you know, whenever I play against it, I was like, oh, I can't use my Acidic Slime, I can't use my Rec Sage, so it's just a little bit frustrating. And it's, I really do think that these type of cards really does depend on your play group, because what I notice a lot of times is, like, depending on who you're playing with, and a lot of people are playing powerful cards, like, it's kind of frustrating to me when all these other people are playing powerful cards, and then you go to do something, and they're like, no, like, you can't have that, like, I need to stop you, and I'm just like, well, you're doing super powerful things way more than I am, and you're all like, gotta kill Tracy, like, like, whatever. It's just, it's sort of like a weird type of thing. So those type of cards are depend entirely on your play group. Some groups are like, hey, like, that card, I don't like it. Like, I remember back when I used to play all the time with, like, Paul, Justin, Eddie, my friend John, and Raul, like, we would have our little thing, and we'd be like, hey, listen, like, that card not allowed, like, this type of deck, we just, like, don't do that. And then, you know, expanding and playing with new people has sort of, it's an interesting type of thing, because when you go to a game store and there's a bunch of new people there, there's a bunch of people, it's interesting type of thing, because if you have like your group of friends and every Friday night you go hang out at your house, that's very different from when you go to your game store, because at your game store there's going to be a variety of people. You may not necessarily be playing all the time with the same people, so it's like, how do you initiate in that group, hey man, like, that card I really don't like when you play that. It's a very different ballgame compared to when you're playing at your home on Friday nights, and I really wish that that was my reality. I wish that I like had a group of friends so I could like hang out with like all the time when we could like play EDH, because that's just like my jam right now. And I thought of this like classic phrase that I think goes into this thing, they play X, so why can't I play Y? And I thought that was like really perfect, because it's like, well, you know, they play this card that stops my deck, why can't I play a card that stops their deck? And my whole thing with that is, I don't play any cards that I think are downright oppressive. Like, I am straight up stopping all of my opponents from doing something. I really like to do my own thing. Of course I run removal, I mean, who doesn't? But like, of course I'm gonna have cards that stop what my opponents are doing, but it's never like, let me throw Rest in Peace in my deck. Like, I'm not, you know, first off, a lot of my decks have like straight up like recursion, but I just don't think that's fun. That's just not fun to me. And again, I think a lot of people get really caught up in EDH and like the competitiveness aspect of it, because a lot of other formats are like that, but to me, EDH isn't a competitive format. I've said this before on my channel, like, to me it's a super fun format, it's super casual, and that's what I really like about it. Not everyone views it like that, but that's just how I do. So I feel like those types of cards are just not fun. It's not something that I would ever do, but it's something that a lot of other people do. They run these very rude cards, in my opinion, that's like, it doesn't benefit you at all. So like, why are you kind of playing it? I don't know. It's just different. I mean, it's different. Like, one scenario that I will never forget that was, I thought, super rude was I was playing Omnath one day, and someone played the card Humility. Humility, it's a 4 white enchantment. It says that all creatures lose all abilities and become 1/1s. Now I'm playing Omnath, so I'm not Focus of Rage, so all my 5/5s are now 1/1s. Okay, that's fine, but now they don't have their die trigger, so basically my entire deck was kind of useless at that point. If I had, like, Perforos, Avenger, Zendikar, they didn't ETB, they didn't do anything. I have my Rex Sage, it doesn't do anything. It was very difficult for me. It was like, I didn't do anything in that game. Now, that game doesn't do anything for the guy who played it. It doesn't benefit his deck in any way. It just stops everyone from doing everything else. And I, like, was miserable in that EDH game because I couldn't do anything because all of my cards. And I guess some people would be like, hey, you should run a variety of cards, which I do agree. Like, I think running, like, not only creatures who destroy artifacts and enchantments, like, sometimes you just need those instant sorceries that just destroy whatever it is that you need to. I think that's, like, really important. I think the whole realm of broken things is really, like, a topic of conversation that really does depend on your playgroup, and that's a conversation that I think it is good to have, but I think the conversation starters can be, like, really difficult to be like, hey, like, I don't really like how you do this in your deck, because, I don't know, at least the people in my game store are not really gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just change it. Like, it's not like that. And I think the answer to a lot of people is they say, oh, you're gonna play that card? Well, then I'm gonna play this card. And then it gets hate. Oh, well, that's not fair that you play this card. Well, it's not fair that you play this card. So, it's a weird sort of line that, again, I think it really does depend on what you all are playing, who's balancing who out, and that's, like, another thing is, like, balancing, like, power levels. I think I did a video talking about this in EDH too. I can't remember. I've done so many EDH videos, but it's like, well, my deck is at this power level, but yours is at this power level. It's like, what can I do to kind of, like, even those two things out? Yeah, it's an interesting sort of thing. So that was it. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about, like, oppressive, broken cards, like, what goes on in your EDH group that you're like, hey, like, I hate when my one friend plays that one card because I, like, can't do anything about that. Should you say something, or should you be like, hey, like, I need to, you know, put more stuff in my deck that I can answer that card? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll talk to you later.